Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Of course, I was right. And that's not to say just because I'm an arrogant prick here. Sometimes I am. But in this case, I said it many times before that these guys in the West, they will try to get inside Ukraine now through the back door. And they tried various ways. And I said, well, they will send some so-called now peacekeeping troops in Ukraine under all kind of euphemisms. Love-making troops, I don't know, perfect troops, something. And here you have France and the United Kingdom doing exactly that. And that is, we'll send some advisors and people who know something about history or went around the block a few times. They understand that the advisors are not the guys over there just sitting and walking through the fields with the hands behind their back and say, hey, you gotta do this. You got trainers and advisors. They are over there, some of them active in combat. How do I know that? I will take the example of, for instance, of Vietnam. I will take it in Korea if I want to go. Korea is even a better example. The Americans had advisors. You take Georgia if you want in 2008. Was it in 2008 with the Georgia with the Saakashvili? Anyway, what do we have here? France and United Kingdom rebrand. That means use a euphemism for possible military deployment to Ukraine. And they will call it differently. All right, let's start with the first. I have two articles. First one, Ukrainska Pravda, that is from the Ukrainians, and the other one is from the Russians. Macron announces Franco-British mission to Ukraine to work on strengthening Ukraine's military. Who are those guys going to be? Dancers? I don't know, violin players? What do you think will be? Well, let's find out. President Emmanuel Macron has announced that a Franco-British mission, that means you guys are going to go over there, will travel to Ukraine to work on strengthening Ukraine's defense forces. What does that mean? Just travel. When you go to Florida, you travel to Florida? Okay, that's exactly what they're going to do, travel to Ukraine. A French news broadcast television and radio network citing Macron at a press conference following a coalition of the willing, led by two countries. They're going to use you and they will be in charge. Good. The Coalition of the Willing summit in Paris on 27th of March. Macron stated that the Franco-British team would be sent to Ukraine to, quote-unquote, prepare the Ukrainian army of tomorrow. These guys are imbeciles. There's not going to be any Ukrainian army tomorrow. But hey, let them go ahead of their skis. He added that work is continuing on the potential deployment of so-called deterrent forces in Ukraine, troops that could serve as deterrent in the event of a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. Macron noted that such forces could come from certain European member states and be stationed in certain strategic locations in Ukraine. All right. Do you know what was the main reason why the Russians invaded, unprovoked and unjustifiable, Ukraine? Do you know the main one, the main cause? It was NATO presence closer and closer to the Russian borders. That was it. That triggered all the Russian anger. And then it was the coup d'etat, and it was NATO membership for Ukraine and so on, all these things. So these guys are trying to get in Ukraine through their back door, and the Russians are just baboons, are going to be busy eating each other's fleas and not see the NATO right now. It's just going to deploy some troops, peacekeeping troops, love-making troops in Ukraine under their nose. So NATO troops that the Russians try to keep away are just going to be deployed in Ukraine as a mission to keep peace. And these guys say they will send them just to train the Ukrainians for Ukraine's future military of tomorrow. What was it? The army of tomorrow. Why not the Ukrainians send some troops in France and Great Britain to prepare those baboons armies for tomorrow? I mean, they have no experience. The Ukrainians nowadays, they have more experience than everybody else. Why? They're fighting actively. And the other guys, as far as I know, they're not actively involved in any war. So, who should train who? No, this is a backdoor attempt to enter Ukraine. This is what's going to be. The Russians will smack them again, going to say, no, back the off. And this guy's going to say, okay, look at the Americans. The Americans are going to ignore them. They have other, they're at a different level than these irrelevant Europeans. And we'll see if the Franco-British team would dare to get into Ukraine. And I suspect it won't. Maybe they're going to send you, my friends, and you're going to fight the Russians for Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss, or maybe, I don't know, Sir Keir Starmer, or maybe the king, who's now in the hospital. He has a little bump on the road to what? Oh, all right, so this is the first one. Let's go to the second one. The Russians are not imbeciles, but these guys still think they are. Russia Today. France and UK rebrand possible military deployment to Ukraine. I'm quoting, a reassurance force. These guys are always reassuring others as if their countries are perfect. Why not, I know, let's say Bangladesh or my friends from Zimbabwe send a reassurance force to Europe, maybe to France. How about that one? No, it's always these guys reassuring everybody without being asked. Okay, there's two people fighting over there. We're gonna come to reassure. None of your business. Why don't you take care of your garbage over there? Anyway, could be sent to the conflict zone, President Emmanuel Macron said. France and Britain will continue to push for a deployment of military contingents to Ukraine. There you have a plan by Paris and London to send troops to Ukraine in case of a peace deal with Russia has been rejected already by several EU members. While a shift in Western European thinking was reported by Reuters, citing multiple sources, Kiev has been pushing for a deployment of troops as a security guarantee. Nah. I think the Russians got burned with Minsk agreement guarantees by the Germans and the French, so no. Including combat troops ready to fight. These guys are the origin. These guys. You can't have, how should I put it? These guys tried something on Russia. They failed. And now they want to be the peacekeeping mission where they failed? I mean, how clearly idiotic this is. I mean, you got to be a baboon not to figure it out, or a bottom feeder, or whatever you want to be, a weasel. The weasels are smart sometimes, you know? While a shift in the Western. Okay, speaking at the summit in Paris on Thursday, Macron announced that so-called coalition of the willing, which doesn't have Zimbabwe, so it's not that, will seek to deploy a reassurance force to Ukraine after a peace deal with Russia is reached. It doesn't matter if the peace deal is reached, they will not be allowed to get over there. That's the first one. And the second one, this is just the beginning. Oh, we're gonna send them as a reassurance force after that. And then they will say, no, how about we send them before that? What's the difference? There will be troops over there nevertheless. I don't believe that would fly. I don't believe. I'm 100% certain they will not be deployed over there, because that's a real legal deployment of NATO troops in the place where the Russians went to war for, or against, how you want to look at it. All right. The French leader admitted the proposal failed to win unanimous support. However, a French-British delegation would visit Kiev to discuss the plan anyway. It does not have unanimity, but we don't need unanimity to do this, Macron stated. Well, I know he doesn't like unanimity. He likes to sign things on his own, like the pension reform. He just took it, signed it, and said, became law. Fuck off. That's what he did. Leave the General Assembly and whatever. The so-called coalition of the willing, initially coined by the US to refer to countries who support the invasion of Iraq in 2003, they're not even original, now involve countries that have pledged to continue to militarily support Kiev and who have previously discussed sending a peacekeeping force to Ukraine. Military intervention. Italy, Germany and Hungary reportedly spoke against the Anglo-Franco peacekeeping plan. No, my point is this. These guys want to do... There are some forces behind Macron and Starmer. There's not they want to be, the big Admiral Nelson and the other one, Napoleon. It's not going to be that one. They're just going to want to fulfill the desires, let's put it euphemistically, or some forces who promoted them, who opened the doors for them. And that's they want to repay that. Do you think that these guys do that because they have a what? What exactly pushes them into this? A love for humanity? I mean, look what they did in previous experiences with NATO. I mean, I can use Yugoslavia again and all these guys in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria. I can go over that. Do you think that that's what they do? No. So the point is this. These guys are going to try to use euphemisms, but that's not meant for the Russians. The Russians know the time. That is for us. They think we're bottom feeders waiting for these guys just to, and we're going to be hooked immediately to their garbage. I know the big majority of them are like that. We are not like that. Therefore, we have to spread the word. And I know. Sometimes people, even if there's something that works even against their own interest, clearly they will still vote for the baboon or will still support a policy that would clearly affect their lives and is not right. Why? Not right in general, as an objective, how should I put it, statement. But they want to be right. They want to be on the majority side. They're cowards. It's hard to be against other people and be alone. You need courage. You need something. They prefer to be on the winning side. That's why when you hear, for instance, before the elections, sometimes they say, "Oh, Gigi is losing," and then the other guy has a boost of voters. It's not the other way around. Like you see someone losing over there, your army, you say, "God damn it, let me go," and you go over there, even they're losing. No, oh, they're losing. Oh, switch sides. I'm gonna be with the winning side. The same is in the elections. The same here. People will not agree because they want to be with the majority. Majority here is what? The big countries of France and Great Britain. It ain't gonna happen. They're gonna build the future army of the future in Ukraine. Ukraine will not have an army. Ukraine will have a on the paper army. That's what they did. Now, nice try, and actions have consequences. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.